Boo!
Boo.
The boo, like Zoinks, man.
Like Zoink Scoob. Jinkies.
Well,
Jeepers.
that's how we're going to open this episode, I guess.
If you couldn't tell already, well then, this isn't an episode for you. Well, if you couldn't tell what we're talking about, this isn't an episode for you.
Well,
Or it is.
welcome to the Background Noise Podcast, episode 5, episode 2 of our Spooky Month Jamboree, where this week we are going back to the late 60s and going over the classic Hanna-Barbera cartoon Scooby Doo, Where Are You? And we went back and rewatched a few episodes, some more than others. Some enjoyed it more than others, and we're going to deep dive into that. But we're going to start. Scooby Doo, of course, needs no introduction, but
Although I
much all
do
these.
think there are I know that some of the people who listen to this podcast have not seen Scooby Doo,
Heretics.
which I won't call it any names because I won't embarrass those individuals. But
You know who you are, insert name here.
there are people that everyone in this podcast knows that has not seen or watched any Scooby Doo movies.
Oh, no.
So, I mean, those are unwashed troglodytes that don't need.
Oh, God. Such peons, of course.
Yeah.
Well, then, should we explain what Scooby Doo is for those who are not as enlightened?
I'll take the reins on this one. Yeah, sure.
Take us away.
4 super groovy teenagers who don't really look like teenagers and their big brown Great Dane go across the country and in season 3 internationally and solve some crazy mysteries involving costumed weirdos and monsters and stuff. Yeah.
It sounded
That
like
was
you were
beautiful.
reading off a blurb there, and then it kind of trailed off.
Well, to be fair, watched a lot of Boomerang. That's the one that's like unmask a few bad guys and polish off that leftover pizza. That was on on repeat in my head when I was like 10. So yeah, I don't know. It might have resurfaced a little there.
Yeah.
Like a repressed childhood trauma, except in a good way.
How much Scooby Doo did you watch as a child?
Oh, my friend. I can't count it on my hand. I'll tell you that much.
That's fair.
Unless it's days. And even then, I'd need some toes, too.
How many days worth of Scooby Doo watching? Yeah.
I don't know. It was a lot, though.
I mean, I distinctly remember. I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember Family Video.
Back in my day.
Back in my day, we didn't have streaming services. You went to a store and you rented DVDs for a period.
Blockbuster, so
Okay.
same thing.
Okay, Family Video was nicer than Blockbuster because they would for various reasons, but they had a kids section, and if parents rented movies, you could get kids movies for free, and so they had definitely the entire second season of Scooby Doo. Of the second season of Scooby Doo, Where Are You? And portions, like they had the first season was split into 2 discs, and they only ever had the second disc in. So those episodes I watched multiple times because you watch them and then you forget, and then next summer you go and you get them again and you watch them again, and it's like brand new. You get to see all the mysteries all over again. It's great.
That's what I hate, just a side tangent, with the DVDs for kids programming is, especially, I mean, whether the show was really good or not, they would almost never, put the entire season onto one DVD. They'd have like 3 separate volumes, each disc only having like 3 episodes when they could easily put like 10 onto one disc.
Well,
So.
There's a reason for that.
Oh, sure.
Full volume 1 through 5 collection for like $70, like 3 months later.
I don't know, man.
And when it's something like Scooby Doo, that's going to sell because almost everybody knows Scooby Doo, and it's ingrained into the culture as just like a thing that you know.
Exactly. You just say the words like Scooby. It's like, oh yeah, like Scooby Doo and Shaggy or something, or like it's.
Yep.
I don't know. It's just kind of second nature, and well, what is it? If we're going in on some of the childhood memories, it's like I remember both of my grandparents, like ones on my mother and ones on my father's side, they had at least one VHS of Scooby Doo, and that's like, just I remember spending time with them. It was like one of them was like the holiday specials or something. It was just like, watch that one over and over again, and it's like what is it? It's February. Why are we watching the Scooby Doo Christmas special? It's like because it's art.
Yes, I think I had exactly the same one. It had all of the holiday and all of the like snow themed episodes, like It's Snow Ghost and things like that.
That's awesome.
All of the snowy, wintry themed episodes, and you watched, and which is cool because it's got episodes from a bunch of different eras, so you can see these back to back. There are a couple episodes on that collection that have the character of which we do not speak.
Okay.
What? Oh yeah,
the puppy that
other character.
Shall not say. He who must not be named.
I never understood why nobody liked him. Hot take of the thing. Joe had one for Venom. I'll have one here.
Okay.
Scrappy Doo did nothing wrong.
I mean,
except exist, right?
No.
He existed, and that's sin enough.
I will die on this hill or this slightly toughed up mound of dirt. Not even a hill.
This pile of scrap.
This
Yes,
pile of scrap?
Exactly. Pile of Scrappy Doo. Yeah.
Well, speaking of childhood memories, mine, I think my grandma probably still has this. Anytime we go over to her house, she has this collection of VHSs just sitting around, has this TV with the built-in VHS player in it. And one of those VHSs is Scooby-Doo's Creepiest Capers. So that was one that was very popular for my siblings to pop on. That one, it only had 4 episodes. It was, I think, Go Away Ghost Ship, Hassle in the Castle, Haunted House Hang Up, and Night of Fright is No Delight. Those 4.
Classics.
Yeah, so those were the only ones I think I actually ever watched growing up, because the only time I'd ever watched Scooby-Doo was if one of my siblings had put it on, or if I'd put it on that TV. But those 4 episodes in particular, I feel like I remember pretty well. And so, aside from that, didn't really do much with it, but always had good memories watching those. So.
Yeah, there you go. And I bet you memorized the plots of those episodes and the every twist and turn of those episodes minutely.
Yes.
Yeah. But those are 4 of the best, so that's a good one to get. Do we want to break down what makes a Scooby-Doo episode a Scooby-Doo episode?
We could do that. Did you want to share your first encounter with Scooby? Was your childhood with
the blockbuster?
Well,
a family movie thing, right?
I can't remember what the first one was. I don't know if it was those, or I think it has to have been those. It has to have been like going to Family Video, or like seeing like on Boomerang, seeing some Scooby-Doo episodes and wondering what was going on, and being intrigued enough to go and rent the DVD and watch like a whole bunch of them back to back to back. So
Mother, find me the funny dog.
Yes, exactly. Mother, find me the funny talking dog who has a strange voice. I must know more.
I forgot when Joe was a kid, he was a British kid.
Yes,
he's an English child.
He lost the accent. He's been in the States too long. I mean, with a last name like that, he's practically royalty.
Sure. There was I use either of those. I do also have. We'll talk about these eventually, not this episode, but we'll talk about more Scooby-Doo episodes. Like, we'll talk about some Scooby-Doo every year for our Spooky Jamboree. Mm-hmm. These are not good movies, but I do have fond memories of the 2 live-action Scooby-Doos, Scooby-Doo and Scooby-Doo Monsters Unleashed. They're not great movies, but I do love those movies.
Oh, they're good. Like Venom's a good movie. It's not, but
That's fair. That's fair.
No. I would say those movies are better than Venom and its sequel, if we're being honest.
Well, fun fact there.
I know it's like apples and oranges, but still.
I don't remember which one it was, because I never actually watched them. I just heard about those live action ones. I think James Gunn wrote the first, maybe the second as well, and he was not a fan of Scrappy Doo, which is why he made him the bad guy.
Yeah. which
He
is
still did nothing wrong.
best decision of that man's career.
Yes, exactly.
Guardians, who?
Guardians has nothing
Excuse
on
me.
Scooby-Doo.
This is
Guardians
the
has
man that
nothing
wrote
on the live
Scooby
action
Doo.
Scooby Doo movies, but those Scooby Doo movies kind of strayed from the formula. But there is a very specific formula that all like new Scooby Doo movies and TV shows have some of this, but all of those original, I think it's 25 episodes, right? It's
Yes.
17 in the first season, 8 in the second season.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of weird number, but 25 overall have this like very specific formula, which is let's see if I can get all of the pieces of the formula off of memory. It's there. You'll usually have a cold open where you're introduced to the villain first.
Yep.
Where something villainous happens. You know, the ghost ship attacks a cargo vessel, or you see the ghost
creeper.
that's like coming out of the jewelry store stealing something, or is coming out of the bank stealing something, or is attacking some civilian somehow. You'll have a cold open of the villain, of the monster, and then you'll have the gang either in the malt shop or in the mystery machine just hanging out chilling, and then they will hear screams or they'll hear about a problem. They go and investigate. There you will at some point. Oh yes.
Well, just to mention, if they're in the mystery machine, the 90% of the time they're in it and they end up in some spooky place, it's because Fred's shortcut was taking them to a bad spot, and clearly he doesn't know what he's doing.
Yes, Fred does not know how to drive. I mean, he knows
like,
how to
Fred,
drive.
why are we going down this alley? It's a shortcut, gang.
Yes. And then you'll meet one or two characters in that episode. If you meet one character in that episode, that is the villain. If you meet only one character in that episode, that character is the villain. And if you meet two characters, the one that is the most suspicious is the villain. Almost every time. No, that's not true. Actually, it's not. It's the opposite. It's actually the one that is the least suspicious. Usually, that's the villain. It's usually like there'll be someone who's
we'll get into that later, though.
Obviously creepy, and then the other person that seems like a normal person is the one who's actually the villain. And then there'll be like the gang will get trapped in a haunted house or a spooky barn or some establishment, some place that is creepy.
Or an island owned by literal Colonel Sanders.
Yes, an island literally owned by Colonel Sanders. An island castle, excuse you. And there'll be a long series of chase scenes where it's just them running in and out of doors that have impossible logic. Like they'll run in a door that's on the left side of the corridor and then come out of the door on the right side of the corridor because physics isn't a thing.
Was that the origin of that thing? Like, is this the origin of like that gag?
I'm pretty sure that every version of that gag is called as a callback to Scooby Doo. I'm pretty sure that's why that happens. Is because it's a callback to those old Scooby Doo episodes.
The one like theatrical history major or whatever that watches this show is like rolling around. It's like, no, it goes back there actually.
Yeah.
There's a reason we don't have a comments page for our episodes.
Oh, yes, indeed.
They'd be like, yes, so once again, here's all the stuff you got wrong.
Will.
Yes, that's right. Keep in mind,
during in between all the long chase scenes, which go on for like half of the episode is chase scenes, is with good animation for the time. Like for the time that they were done in, the animation's pretty solid.
It was a simpler time in the fact that the animation is literally simple, yet well done.
It's just a frame, it's a still frame background, and it's the character with like 3 different poses cycling fast enough you can't see them moving. Jack has some.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say something to keep in mind before we even get to the chases is as soon as they get there, they always split up. Yes, and what's interesting with those is you always have Scooby and Shaggy together, and you always have Fred Daphne together. Thank you. What's interesting is Velma will switch back and forth between either being with Scooby and Shaggy or with Fred and Daphne. Yes. Most of the time, she's with Fred and Daphne, but they will switch it up. So
I don't know. Is it most? Because it seems pretty close to even.
It might be pretty.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't marathon them, but from what I saw, it's like most of the time it's like the 3 and then the goofy dog and his owner.
Yeah, it's
sort of thing.
Well, I feel like Velma goes with whoever isn't finding clues. So like if Scooby and Shaggy are going to accidentally find clues, Velma is with Fred and Daphne. And if Fred and Daphne are intentionally finding clues and Scooby and Shaggy are just running around scared, Velma's with them, and Fred and Daphne are like, we found these clues, and Velma has to figure out what it means. Because Velma is the smart one. She's
Right.
my glasses. There will be a scine where Velma gets her glasses knocked off, and she's blindly pawing around on the ground like a lunatic. I can't put on my glasses. You can't see 12 inches in front of your face where the glasses are sitting on the ground.
Literally, the episode with the creeper, it's like, whoa, what's going on? And you have this guy 2 feet away going like, "Rah, rah, rah." It's like, whoa, what's happening? Run from what? Woman!
Part of it is her IQ drops by 100 points when she loses her glasses because she
it's like some kind of item in D&D, classes of intelligence or some
garbage. Yeah, it's like she loses basic comprehension skills when she loses her glasses, even though she's the smartest character in the show when she has them on, which is so ridiculous, so nonsense.
But, I mean, the most evil villain would be the one who takes the glasses and doesn't give them back until the end of the episode.
Okay, except there's a flip side to that, which is there's a scene where Velma has staggered her way into a dungeon without her glasses. She runs into Shaggy and Scooby, and she says, "Shaggy, do you have my spare glasses?"
Oh, that's right. Cute.
In the universe, it's understood that Velma loses her glasses at an insane degree, to the point where her friends carry around spare pairs of glasses for her.
I want to think that all of her friends carry around spare pairs. Like, I bet Fred and Daphne do as well. It's just, again, if they'd run into... She didn't run into them. She ran into Scooby and Shaggy. But exactly. I'd like to think that. And even if Scooby was there, I bet he has some way...
Inside of his collar.
Inside his collar.
It's like, what is it? Some kind of... like one of those big coats that people have like stuff in. He's like, he just pulls out a collar. It's like,
yes. But they'll run around. Velma will lose her glasses. They'll find a bunch of clues. They'll figure out the mystery, and you can usually figure out the mystery if you're paying attention. You can figure it out yourself because first of all, there's only 2 characters it could possibly be, so it's going to be one of those 2 people. But also there'll be obvious clues of who it is, and then one of 2 things will happen. Either they will explain in very exquisite detail how their trap is going to work, and then it will not work, or they will build the trap off screen and they won't tell you how it's going to work. And it actually does work on like 3 occasions when they don't show you how it's going to work. There's a couple of episodes where the traps do actually work the way they're intended to, but they never show you how it's supposed to work until it's working in the process. But you can guarantee 100% of the time, if they tell you, oh, we're going to knock the bowling ball off of the ledge and then it's going to hit the broom and it's going to launch a cup into the air and that cup is going to hit the chandelier and the chandelier is going to spin around and it's going to drop a net and it's going to catch the villain, because they're always like ridiculous Rube Goldberg machines. Shaggy and Scooby are going to be running and they're going to get caught in the net and then they're going to trip over and they're going to knock over the ghost and the ghost is going to get trapped in a vat of goo or some other nonsense. They will catch the villain, but it won't be the way it's supposed to happen.
But through sheer incompetence, they win.
Yes. Right. They will mess up the original trap and yet still capture the villain just through a different method.
Yep. And then finally, we get it was actually so-and-so this entire time.
Old Man Jenkins.
Yes, exactly. And then I would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for you dumb kid, you meddling kids. And
meddling kids.
I love the meddling kids. And that's every single Scooby-Doo episode has exactly the same formula.
And they say the word treasure at least every other episode.
Yes.
Like dude.
So, keeping in mind that every single episode has exactly the same formula, should we break down our list of our top? I think we have 6. We have a list of top 6, which we're going to name off. We're going to start off with just the list of the names because the names of the episodes are great.
Yeah, we can do that. Do you want to do that first? Do you want to do more general thoughts, like our actual thoughts on the show as a whole, and like
Sure.
going back and rewatching it?
Sure, we can break down general thoughts if you want to start.
Sure, I can start. Or, yeah, I can go for it.
Since I've been talking about the structure of each episode, I'll let you guys talk about your thoughts.
Sure. Yeah, I can do that. So, rewatching it, the first episode or two, it was fine. But after watching, I originally going into this, I was going to watch through all 25 because each one's only 20 minutes. I was like, okay, no big deal. I'll do it. I think 2, maybe 3 episodes in, I'm like, okay, let's bring this down to 10 because it was getting so monotonous, the formula. And I couldn't even do 10. I did end up watching 10, but I was getting to a point where I really wanted to bring it down to 5, just because the episodes do become very monotonous. And I think it is very similar if you watch other Hanna-Barbera shows like Yogi Bear or Flintstones, Super Friends, whatever. It has a very similar style, and it's very common. It was very common for Hanna-Barbera shows because they all use this sort of limited animation, or they would use the same frames. And you'll get that, obviously, you guys did for watching a lot of the Scooby Doo episodes. You'll see a lot of similar frames, like a specific look that Fred's doing, looking this way. It's just he's saying something different, but they'll use similar animation frames over and over again, and that's how they were able to dominate the animation market during the 60s and 70s, was because they reused a lot of stuff. And it worked very well for kids because kids didn't care, but going back and watching it now, it is a very lazy approach, and they got a lot of hate from people who actually worked hard on their animation, people like Chuck Jones from Looney Tunes and stuff like that, who they really spent a lot of detail on their animation shorts and didn't reuse a lot of the stuff. Whereas Hanna-Barbera, they're like, we can get away with it, we will. And so that's why until the 80s, when the 80s brought in all of the shows based off of the popular toys, Hanna-Barbera was ruling because they were able to, on a regular basis, use things and therefore put out content faster. So as a kid, you don't notice, so it's fun and it works. But going back and watching it now, it's like you can notice a lot of that stuff. And it was fine, it was fun, but it's very monotonous. And I think if you didn't watch this as a kid, going back and watching Scooby Doo, Where Are You Now, it doesn't really hold up as a whole, in my personal opinion. But it still has some fun moments. And again, the nostalgic aspect is really what I think holds over for it, because a lot of people from today, even if they didn't grow up obviously when it was airing, like late 60s, early 70s, they probably had an experience with a VHS or family video or something like that, where they got exposed to it as a kid, probably because their parents got exposed to it as kids when it was actually airing. And so the nostalgia factor definitely helps with that classic show. But if you don't have that, like for people who never watched it growing up now, you were to show them Scooby Doo, Where Are You? I doubt they'd be big fans. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think it also helped, like the fact that it was repetitive helped because they were coming out one episode a week.
Right. No, that's a thing. And I think that's why they dominated. Absolutely. Yeah. Because they were able to do that.
Yeah. Because then you're like, if you're a kid sitting down watching each new episode, you enjoy the structure, and it's about all the differences between each episode. But when you're
this thing was made for Saturday morning. Yeah. Saturday morning. This is the quintessential Saturday morning cartoon.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's when What's New Scooby Doo, which is like the biggest, I think that's the biggest resurgence of Scooby Doo popularity. When that one came out, that was a Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah.
Filling the exact same slot. And we'll talk about that eventually as well. But I agree. I agree that a significant portion of enjoyment is nostalgia, and it is not intended to be watched as a story that you are watching unfold in front of you. It is intended to be watched as here is a chunk of enjoyment, of entertainment that you're going to get. It's 20 minutes long. Enjoy your ice cream. You eat your ice cream, and then you don't go back to the bowl and get more ice cream. You don't go back to the refrigerator and get more ice cream when you're done with it. You enjoy it, and then next week you can have some more ice cream. That's how it's intended to be experienced. But there are some standouts, and if you're going to show someone these for the first time, we'll let other Joe talk about his thoughts, and then we'll talk about the ones that are the standouts.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I like the dog. That's like really cool. But yeah, I really do feel like it. The original show is definitely limited by its time, and you know, I do think a part of enjoyment, most of enjoyment to us as the audience, does come from nostalgia and childhood memories. But the funny thing about that is, I think that well, first of all, it's hilarious that something so dated has become essentially timeless.
Mhm.
You know, it's been going on for 52 years and there's no sign of losing steam yet. Well, I mean, I don't know. I haven't watched any of the modern stuff. I mean, but yeah, it's funny that the driving around in the flowery hippie van has not lost its touch. And I think I'm trying to word this in a way. It's sort of like, I think this has remained in kind of become as deeply ingrained as it has through let's see, how do I put it, relevance in reruns. It's like, yeah, if you watched it the first time when you were a kid in the 60s, like, oh yeah, that's fun. And then you see there's reruns coming on when you eventually have kids, and it's like, oh yeah, I remember those things. And then by the time your kids have gotten the audience, have like become the audience, they've what is it, the base is big enough to warrant new entries into the series, and then that goes
Mhm.
on, and it has gone on for 50 years. And I feel like that's kind of unique in a way. I can't think of many, at least television franchises, that have done that really.
Yeah, I mean, I think reruns, I could definitely see that helping. I haven't looked into it, but I definitely could see that making a lot of sense. Why? I mean, I think through the 70s and 80s, you had things like, Scrappy Doo Happy Hour and stuff like that. Little things
Oh
that
yeah.
Hanna-Barbera would do here and there just to keep Scooby Doo alive. But I would assume that during the 90s, they had some reruns and it had a sort of resurgence. I'd be curious to look more into this, but I'm assuming there was some sort of resurgence in the 90s, and that's why What's New Scooby Doo was able to happen and that was able to have such a resurgence and really make the show as popular as it had been since the 60s, or like sort of, revive it, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Also, just I feel like another fun fact to bring up is, uh, well, I guess since I'm the culture section of this fun pop culture podcast for some reason, I just find it hilarious that it spawned so many knockoffs. And the funny thing is, the knockoffs were made by Hanna-Barbera. So in a
Mm-hmm.
way, it was, what's the word for that? I don't know. There was, and I got a list here. So
Okay.
know that I definitely don't know these by memory. So what is it? Yeah, what is it? Josie and the Pussycats, the Funky Phantom, the Amazing Chan and the Chinklet. What in the world? What is that? Speed Buggy. I remember Speed Buggy.
Hmm.
Goober and the Ghost Chase. Jabberjaw, the one with the shark, and then Captain Caveman and the Teen Angels. This was all by Hanna-Barbera. It within the span of it's like 70 to 80. Oh god, most of these had a 1 year run. Oh,
Yeah.
rip
There-
rip Jabberjaw.
There's actually there might be more than one, but I know of at least one episode in one of the modern Scooby Doo shows where they reference the fact that all of these crime fighting teams exist, because there's an episode where they're invited to a school to do a mystery solving competition, and a villain hijacks the competition and steals all of the kids, and only the mascots are left. And so all of the mascots have to up together to solve the mystery.
How,
Which is ridiculous because the mascots are the
how
ones
have I
that,
not heard of this?
like it's in Mystery Inc. If you watch the Mystery Inc. TV show, which is the best Scooby Doo, we'll definitely have an episode dedicated to Mystery Inc.
That sounds fun.
But it's specifically a callback to all of their spoofs of themselves. Or it's not even spoof. It's all of their stealing their own idea and trying to twist it in whatever way they can to make it work.
All right, so now we're just going to go over our favorite episodes / favorite
Yay.
villains.
Woo.
Yes. All right.
So like top five for
You want
each
me
of
to
us.
read off our list. Oh, I think we have a top 6, so we'll just do those. You want me to? I'm going to read them off. I think these are in order through the season, so that's the order for this. But we're just going to read them off in order. The Hassle in the Castle, Go Away Ghost Ship,
Ooh.
Spooky Space Kook,
Ooh.
A Night of Fright is No Delight, Nowhere to Hide, HYDE, Hide, and Jeepers, It's a Creeper.
About halfway through that, I ran out of variations of spooky noises.
Okay.
I ruined it.
Love the effort, though.
Yeah, we appreciate what you could do.
E for effort and G for groovy.
No, stop that.
Oh.
All right, so
well, automatically number 6 for me is going to be Jeepers the Creeper, since I'll probably end up watching that later, but I never actually watched it. So
look at this guy. Ugh, shame him.
This guy.
Get the bell.
I think all of these are either like the perfect embodiment of the formula, or they are significant deviations from the formula. Like it's either the perfect version of Scooby Doo, or it's like the one that actually kind of stretches the weirdness of it. Like Nowhere to Hide is the first. I think it's the first one of the second season, and that's the one where they actually have a fake out.
Oh yeah, that one was directed by J.J. Abrams, right?
Yeah, I think so. So they actually have in that episode, Nowhere to Hide, as in Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. The actual villain is like the grandson of Dr. Jekyll, where he's trying to make a vitamin or something, and he can't do it, and so he decides the obvious conclusion: because I can't make any drugs that work, I'm going to go and rob jewelry stores, disguised as Mr. Hyde, disguised as the ghost of Mr. Hyde. Excuse me, which is just a wild idea.
There's a lot of leaps there, and he also does a lot of leaping. Literally,
he does a lot of
leaps.
I mean, obviously, if your freelance scientific research isn't working out, the immediate next step is I'm going to dress as the ghost of a famous book villain and go and rob jewelry stores disguised as the ghost of a famous book villain. But all
right, Jack, let's just keep an eye out. If things are going a little south in Joe's world, and we see that Sherlock Holmes has knocked off a SunTrust, we know. Yeah, we know.
Next week, Great Gatsby's robbed First Citizens Bank. It's like, okay,
Joe, you all right?
Yeah.
How's work?
What work?
I mean, that episode is like Dr. Jekyll is leaving clues, trying to make it look like his housekeeper did it, but she is actually innocent, and so he's trying to pass the blame on her. It's a different one than it's, because normally it's just like straight up exactly what it is. Or Night of Fright is No Delight that's the one that takes place. I think that's actually just Colonel Sanders, right? That's the name of the person who died.
It's like Colonel Stephen Sanders, not Stephen. I make him sound like he's Dr. Colonel Stephen Sanders. No, but yeah, it's like just a guy called Colonel something.
Yeah, something like that.
Colonel something or other. Okay, and
I think it is Sanders, because I wouldn't have made the Colonel Sanders joke with that. What is it? Also, what is it? Scooby Doo and the KFC mystery. All right, I got it out of my system. Let's go.
There we go. That's fine. But it's that one is an eccentric old man who lived on a castle on an island died, and he gave his money away to people in his will, and one of the people in the will is Scooby Doo, because Scooby Doo saved him from drowning once, and so that's why this dog gets honored in his will. But the stipulation is that you have to survive a night of being scared in the castle to be part of the inheritance. And so the lawyers, first of all, the lawyers' names are Creeps and Crawls. Like that's the law firm of Creeps and Crawls is the actual name of these lawyers.
Such a great name for lawyers.
Yes, exactly. They decide to dress up as the Phantom Shadow, which is the best. These are the best designs of villains of Scooby Doo.
Oh, they're great.
Like
also a great shriek. They
Yes.
shriek very well. Very iconic.
It's more like some kind of weird laugh. It was.
Yes.
It was
and then they got the
wonderful.
rattling chains every time they're doing things.
Yes.
How did they? I get, oh yeah, magic doesn't show up, or was it real ghosts don't show up till later? It's like, how do they pull these things off? It's like, yes, I used my shadow creation machine that creates realistic illusions. It's like, I'm sorry, what?
Yes. I love the explanations of some of these, because some of the explanations are just no, that's not how that works. Like, the explanation for how you didn't make this happen by magic is actually more magic than if it was just magic.
My favorite one is the one where it's like, I can't remember. I think it's I think it is the Hassle and the Castle. Whichever one it is, where the guy like is cursed to be old or something like that. One of the things is like a crystal ball like gets possessed by the ghosts. I'm doing air quotes in a podcast, but yeah, gets possessed by the ghost and is like flies around and flies through windows and stuff. And it's like it crashes. It's like, whoa, look, there's a fan under the table, and it's like literally a modern day like laptop fan. It's like it was powerful enough to propel the table. It's like, hold on.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
It's like a bedroom fan that you would just have to keep you cool at night. Like,
and then the way that exactly.
I don't think it's Hassle in the Castle. I think that one is. I don't know which one that was. Maybe it is Hassle in the Castle.
I think my favorite with thinking about, like, you'll have different sections where some of the villains have temporarily captured one of our heroes, one of the teens or Scooby. I think my favorite time you have them captured and they're threatened by the villain is you have Dr. Hyde, or Mr. Hyde has captured Shaggy, and his plan is to turn Shaggy into a frog, of all things.
Yes.
Like that's his plan.
With his magic potion things.
Yes.
Failed scientist.
I love the one. This is in Go Away Ghost Ship, because there as the ghost of Redbeard the pirate, which, by the way, the villain is there's a person who owns a bunch of shipping lines, and he's about to go out of business, so he dresses up as a ghost pirate to steal from himself so that he can sell his own products. But he gets like the insurance money from the ship being robbed, but he gets to sell his stuff anyway. I think that's basically what the plot of that one is. But
half of these villains wanted to be in the movies when they were kids, or I suppose in that era they wanted to be on Broadway when they were kids, and they're like, listen, if I'm gonna go out, if I'm gonna go to prison, I'm gonna make this a show.
but the ghost of Redbeard, he's captured Shaggy and Scooby on this ship, and they say we can be good crew members, and he says we can be good cooks, and like, good cooks, well, go make me something. And so they say, oh, what do ghosts eat? Chains, yeah, that's good. Soap, never touched the stuff myself, but that sounds great. Cobwebs, and they throw all of this nonsense,
the entire stew,
into ghost pirate stew, yes. and then they feed it to. They try to feed it to the ghost of Redbeard, and he says, you eat it. And then they eat it, and then they start blowing bubbles out of their mouth because they ate soap, and then they blow enough bubbles to fill the room with bubbles, and then they can run away. And my question is, was the man who decided to rob from his own shipping company thinking, wow, I really should have just done a different scheme instead of this nonsense where I'm getting bubbles blown at me by a dog? Like, did he regret his decision at that point, or did he wait until he got arrested for it?
I thought starting this business with the midlife crisis. No, it just happened.
It just happened. That was my midlife crisis.
I think possibly it's one of the best comebacks that any of the team has had to a villain, or not even a comic, just a comment, is I think it's Gaggle of Galloping Ghosts. You have the bad guy is like the Dracula character, and he's like, telling them, beware, don't come into the castle and all that, because he wants the fortune hidden in the castle for himself. And so when he's first telling the crew to beware when they get there, you have Velma is just there, and she's just like, you stop that.
You stop that.
You
Stop
stop that.
Stop it. Get some help. I can't remember. I cannot remember which episode it is. It might be. I think it might be Jeepers. It's the Creeper. It's the Creeper because Jeepers is the Creeper is the one where the bank president is stealing from his own bank. But that's the one where Shaggy and Scooby are the most self-aware. Like they're making jokes about the fact that they're scared, and they make jokes about like, oh, of course we're gonna go off by ourselves. It's gonna be Scoob and me, and we're gonna run into the spooky guy, and like they're very self-aware of the fact. It's almost like they're aware of the fact that they're in a Scooby Doo episode in that one, which is excellent. Like they make comments about the fact that they're always getting scared of things, and it's excellent. I do the best episodes are the ones I think where they're like making fun of themselves.
Yeah, I can see that. And it also helps if the villain has an iconic laugh or shriek. Like, in particular, the ones I keep in mind. I mean, Phantom Shadows, of course, had a very cool scream. But Space Kook has to win for the best laugh.
I don't know. I did a version of the Space Kook laugh before we started recording. I don't know if I can do it again. But it's like, woo! Like,
All right, everybody. Pause. Pause what you're doing right now? Roll that back, listen to it, clip it, and share it with all your friends.
He just gave you all what you wanted, so.
It's a little bit higher pitch than that, but that's about as close as I can get.
That brings up another good thing that, well, we could have brought up with like the general thing, but it's like, you know, the animation's kind of, is like there, it's cheap, and it's like they've got a voice cast of like 10 people, which is, when you're running through like, well, not even 10, like 8 people. It's like Casey Kasem talks to himself a lot in a couple of these episodes, and so does Frank Welker. But like the sound design itself, it's like the spooky music and the sound effects. It's actually pretty good, and it actually holds up kind of well. It sets the tone pretty good. Again, it's sort of like kind of like how this has lasted. It's kind of outrageous how this has lasted this long. It's outrageous how good it is.
Oh yeah, no, like the spooky villain laughs. A lot of them, if they weren't in a Scooby Doo episode, if they were in an actual like horror movie, would be pretty good spooky villain laughs in horror movies. Like they would actually be scary in that circumstance. Now because it's in a Scooby Doo
good campy self-aware horror movies, of course.
Yes, yeah, no, yeah, like some '80s slasher nonsense. But in Scooby Doo, obviously, it's not scary because you're like, okay, this is just goofiness. But it's an interesting. Those are excellent villain laughs. There are some excellent pieces of these episodes. It's just watching them all back to back, and you're like, okay, all right, we know. Okay, here's the long running scene. Here's the fake out where like here's the scene where Shaggy and Scooby like dress up in some kind of costume to mess with the villain so that they can get away, but they pull costumes out of Hammer space and they just put on like a barber's uniform and shave the villain.
Full on Bugs Bunny level stuff.
Yes. And then they get scared and run away.
He's tapped into his trickster god potential.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, we all know that Shaggy has powers beyond the comprehension of mortal men. How are we this far into the episode and we haven't even talked about Ultra Saiyan form Shaggy or whatever the meme is?
I think it's better. We should save that for the modern era.
Oh, that is more of a modern thing. That is true.
Oh, I still need to mention my meme idea.
No.
Yes, please.
That's
okay,
right.
we're going to have an audio audience. We're going to have an audio description of a visual medium, sort of like how I did air quotes, except Jack's going to pull it off. You got it, Jack.
Alrighty, so basically I'm going to just set the scene here. So imagine a picture of a sad Scooby Doo.
All right, you got it.
For the description, it's going to be, everyone's always asking, Scooby Doo, where are you? But when's the last time someone asked Scooby Doo, how are you?
10 out of 10. All right, yep.
10 out of 10.
All right,
Excellent.
print it, run it. I want it on my desk by the
I don't
afternoon.
think we can top that. I think that's it.
I was very proud of that one.
That's excellent memeing, sir.
So somebody get that made and then tag us once you've made it.
Make sure you don't mention our names. I mean, do yeah, totally. I want to be associated with. I'm kidding. I mean, it's fine. It's fine. We have fun here.
So I think next for Scooby Doo, I probably won't do any more this year, but for our next Spooktober, we'll probably our Spooky October Jamboree, whatever we're calling this thing. I'm assuming we probably
Jamboree,
do.
Jack.
There we
it's
go.
almost
That's
as if you
right.
don't read our memos. Ugh.
Oh,
Don't
we have
you read
memos.
the office memos.
I keep
Come on,
forgetting.
Jack.
I keep forgetting. I'm sorry. So for that, I'm thinking next we'll probably cover Mystery Incorporated, since I know we have some big fans here and also avid people like myself who would love to see the show. So that's probably what we'll end up covering and doing our thoughts on that next October. But until then, I think next week, unless you guys have anything to add, I think we will be covering some Hocus Pocus.
Yes.
Ooh, oh
Excellent.
boy, yeah. Just like the Matrix, it's one. This gentleman, I use that word, kind of facetiously, but yeah, I haven't seen Hocus Pocus, and apparently I'm the only one on Earth. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you're the only person in the world who hasn't seen Hocus Pocus.
I think so, but not for long. We're going to change that.
Again,
So,
it's like the Matrix. I've seen enough associated with it. I feel like I've practically watched it. I don't know. There's like 3 of them. There's 3 Hocus Pocuses. Yeah.
No, there's one.
it's not a
Hocus
trilogy. There's
No,
3
no.
witches.
There's
movie.
there's
There's
3
three
witches
witches.
named Hocus Pocus, right?
They're not named Hocus Pocus.
I don't believe you.
Well, tune in next week to see whether or not Joseph has been proven wrong. But
tune in next week to see whether or not we've murdered him because of his ridiculousness.
yes.
Hey.
Alrighty. Well, yep. Next week, look forward to us putting a spell on you for an hour as we talk about Hocus Pocus.
Oh
So,
boy.
Tune in next time. See ya.
Bye.
Goodbye. Ooh.